Welcome back to From the Stache, where reality and podcast collide within the music industry, with your host, James Davis McAllister. From the Stache Podcast.
Welcome back to another From the Stache podcast. And I'm your host, James Davis McAllister, and my apologies for the inconsistencies and the lack of material. I've been sprinkling it in here and there, but I'm going to try to get back in a more regular schedule here with the podcast. With that said, this is Mental Health Awareness Month, the month of May, and mental health is something very near and dear to me as I suffer from it, and most of my family does, and a lot of loved ones, friends, and stuff have as well, and have, taken their lives, unfortunately, because of it. There's no real right way to, start this. I just want to read a couple statistics. Okay. So bear with me here. In the year 2020, in the early months, right when COVID hit the pandemic of COVID, the average amount of Americans affected by depression percentage-wise was 8.5% roughly. And it rose all the way to 27.8%. And it even, in fact, it had gotten worse according to a study from Boston University School of Public Health. That in 2021, even worse, and it climbed to 32.8% and affecting 1 in every 3 American adults. It's crazy that, this is the actual first study that has gauged depression through a pandemic. Okay. And depression is just one of the many things that comes with mental illness, right? It's only one of the, for lack of a better term, rungs on the ladder, right? There's so many other types of mental illnesses. I myself suffer from anxiety, depression, insomnia, bipolar. So yeah, I suffer from just those 4, but there's so many more as well. My apologies. This is a little hard for me to do sometimes. Sometimes, for those of you who know or don't know, I've been just had by far the worst anxiety I've had ever in my life in the past few months. And it's just been a living hell, to say the least. Now, I have a couple more stats here I want to read real quick before, I give my opinions and stuff like that. Roughly 19% of all adults are experiencing a mental illness. That's equivalent to 47 million Americans. And about roughly 5% of them are experiencing severe mental illness. And it even ranges from, all the way to 25% in Utah. 25% of adults suffer from mental illness. That's 1 out of every 4 in the state of Utah. New Jersey's at 16%. There's a whole graph. In fact, if I remember, I'll link these articles in the description of this podcast. But the point I want to make is that there's a stigma about mental health, number 1. Number 2, it's not a lot of people like to talk about it because it is a tough subject to talk about, right? Because, we've only hit the tip of the iceberg, per se, in terms of studying and research, because back in the Kirkbride, asylums and things like that, back in the early 1900s, late 1800s, all the way up till the 90s, really. Really up to modern day, but it's gotten better. Anyways, what they would do if you had a mental illness, you would get locked up, right? That's why those asylums were just as big as prisons. And I should have done some stats on that. I guess I could look that up, what the institution rate was compared to now. But if you had a depression or whatever, you were considered, invalid, or you were considered not, a normal person. So you would be, essentially locked away, just like a prisoner. When I was younger, when I was 15 years old, I had spent some time in Belmont Pines, which is a mental health facility. It was it was hell there. And then it demanded to be transferred, and I was transferred to Northside in Youngstown, which is shut down now, but they were amazing people there. They really helped me out. But the point I'm trying to make is, when all that was going on back then and leading up to now, it was just all these barbaric studies and just like create lobotomies and crazy experiments, shock therapies and taping your eyelids open. I forget exactly what that's called. But that's just a couple of the things, right? It's very sad to think that instead of trying to address it, these people were just thrown, that would have been me, right? I'd have been thrown in an asylum if I were born, any earlier than 87. If I was born in the 30s, 20s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, I would have ended up in an asylum, all my life. They would have threw away the key, threw me in a room and, forgot about me. So with that said, now I'm starting to see a few more, prominent people, doctors, people of higher education, things of that sort, speaking out about mental health and how important it is and how they're, the humane studies of it and the ways to, go about it as opposed to making it a stigma or something bad, instead embracing it and trying to help it and figure out the root of it and, that whole process, right? As opposed to just, it's just equivalent to a prisoner, right? A prisoner commits murder, they throw him in prison, right? Throw away the key, boom, he's like a dog in a cage for 23 hours. I mean, it was the same type of thing for mental health, and it still is to this day. Some people, in very niche parts of the country, they, if you have a mental illness, they throw away the key. Up, he's schizophrenic, she's schizophrenic. They're fucked. We'll just throw them in a cage and, let the good old tax dollars pay for them and forget about them. Because we don't want to have to deal with that. And I've never understood why Western medicine is so inept with, the spinal surgeries. Like I need a spinal surgery, or these cancer researches, et cetera, or, these surgeries they give people, but yet I understand Western medicine is a business, but what I don't understand is why then, if it is a business, and it is, are they not taking a more business approach towards mental health in regards to testings and surgeries? And I mean, not that I don't think any surgeries could really help mental health unless you're hurt like myself and my back gets fixed. It'll help my, obviously help my quality of life, making my mood better. But it's just mind blowing to me that it's just now starting to be something that is, being really, really looked at and talked about. And not just on, one of the hashtags for the month of May, Mental Health Awareness Month, is hashtag end the stigma. And it's very, very true. I want to thank the McAlpine Meadery for sponsoring this episode from the Stache Podcast, located in Beach City, Ohio, 10035 Johnsford Road, 44608. The pride they take in the homemade mead. They take extreme pride and tradition in the ancient craft of distilling mead. Mead is another wine, but it's made with honey. They're available in over 36 states that will deliver straight to your door. They're in over 80 different retail stores. You can go to www.mcalpinemead.com. Again, you can go to www.mcalpinemead.com to order your very own mead. Mention from the Stache Podcast, and who knows, might get a little discount.
Hey, have you ever listened to your favorite album and thought, why doesn't my band sound this fucking crushing? Or maybe you want to record somewhere that you can be captured at your peak abilities. I'm Brandon, and I run Folsom Audio. Whether you need music taken from the ground up, or you just want to record through analog gear, Folsom Audio is your answer. Specializing in rap, hard rock, metal, as well as vocal production, and with 11 years mixing experience, your music will always sound the way it was meant to. Check us out at folsomaudio.com.
I think everybody at one point in time in their life will struggle with some sort of mental illness, whether it's temporary, long-term, short-term, whatever it may be. About a depression, anxiety, stress, insomnia, whatever it may be. Not to go off on a tangent, but it makes me just think that my father who passed away, he damn near drank himself to death, until he had cancer throughout his entire body. Well, he gotten paralyzed at work, and it made him very depressed, so what I'm getting at is, and I'm just coming to this revelation now, maybe the government doesn't do a whole lot in terms of Western medicine for mental health, because people do drugs as opposed to it. I know I did in every, I don't take any over-the-counter medication or any prescribed medication. I take kratom for my anxiety and my depression and my insomnia. But what I'm saying is people drink alcohol, and that's a huge industry, right? I mean, the tax dollars that are made on alcohol is outrageous. I don't even know the numbers, but I bet they're mind-numbing. So, I notice I have I have tons of friends that, drink every day, or people I know that drink every day. And hardworking people, semi-normal lives, pretty normal lives, but they're covering something up that was never addressed when they were younger, or even now, right? And that's something I'm just discovering at almost 35 years of age, that, it's okay to not be okay, and to talk about these things and try to figure out the root of the problem, so that you can then try to then mend it, or at least make it easier on your mind, because I know my mental health affects my entire family. My mother, my wife, and my daughter. I know it does, and the people around me, and it's been rough lately. So yeah, my apologies for kind of being a little scatterbrained here. I didn't really come in with a plan. I just knew I wanted to talk about mental health. I did last year, and so sometimes I start talking about this stuff and I start thinking about things, friends I've lost of suicide, family members I've lost of suicide. So sometimes it's a somber feeling, and I just start thinking about that. My mind just wanders into that. It's, again, like I said, this is hard for me to talk about. I don't typically talk about it, especially publicly, right? Tried to be a little bit more open lately, but if any of y'all know or follow me, I been kind of staying off social media, the toxicity that comes with it, and my mental health at that point in time. I had to get away. So I'm learning to regulate that as well. I'm trying to find, at 34 years of age, I guess that proverbial happiness that, for lack of a better term. Don't get me wrong. My wife makes me happy. My daughter makes me happy, but, mentally I'm just not happy. Right. Like, about myself. I'm not happy with myself. I'm happy with my wife, and I'm happy with, the friends I got, and I'm thankful for it. Thankful for the sponsors of the podcast, thankful for the podcast. I'm thankful for, everything that I have. So don't get me wrong, but, I'm trying to tread these waters alone, right? Because I've been through all kinds of therapies and all kinds of psychiatrists and hospitalizations and, therapies, outpatient, inpatient, anger managements, and none of it's ever done a goddamn thing. The kratom has helped tremendously. It's been about 3 years I've been taking it. It helps tremendously. It really, truly does. I highly recommend it. I will say this: if you're going to decide to take kratom, please, be careful. And take, very minimal amount and work your way up, right? So take like a teaspoon or a half of a teaspoon, at first, and see how that affects you. Or if you're getting tablets, take 1 or 2 tablets and see how you feel before you take any more of it, because, you can very easily make the mistake of taking too much and being sick, getting sick, or because it has an opiate-like effect. It doesn't help me with my pain. However, it does help, like I said, with the mental aspects of my life. So yeah, I'm not going to make this super long. I just want to come on here and let everybody know that, you're important, no matter who you are or what you got going on. You're important to somebody or something, even if it's just yourself. And remember, it's okay to not be okay. And if you need to talk to somebody, reach out to a friend or a teacher or a colleague or a loved one or a stranger on the street or a local bartender, whatever it may be. Don't hold in feelings that make you feel like, this is really hard to describe, that make you feel like you're not human, if that makes sense, or that you're not worthy, or that you're not well. Don't let those feelings fester inside, because it'll just create and ferment toxicity in your entire body that is both healthy for your mental state, but your organs and your muscles and everything. It's very unhealthy. So I'm on Facebook, JamesDavisMcAllister. You can private message me on there. I'm not guaranteeing I'll answer it within a timely manner. It may take a week, 2 weeks, a month. I don't know, but you can always reach out to me if you need someone to talk to or just bitch at or whatever it may be. But check on your loved ones and check on the ones with the history of it. Make sure they're good, and they'll probably say that they are, and maybe they are, but just try. If you're their friend, try to be a better friend to them. If you don't suffer from mental illness, try to relate, ask somebody about it. Ask them how they feel, be a part of the conversation. I really don't have much more to say. Honestly, I wanted to really touch on, the mental health, because it's the 3rd of May and I've yet to see very much activity or talk about it. But again, I haven't been on social media, and I don't watch TV either. So, maybe people are talking about it, and I hope that they are, but just take care of each other, be nice, be kind. Even on social media, man, social media is essentially a representation of who you are. Right. So conduct yourself, with some pride and dignity, and share love and happiness with others. Don't share, hate, hate and turmoil and anger with others, especially online, because you never know who you affect. You really don't, especially those of you who are in the music industry, such as myself. You never know that one person you might change their life, and if that you change one person's life, that's more than 99% of the world can say. So, hey, much love. I'm the Stache, and I'm out. I hope y'all tune in. And if you guys want to support the channel, the podcast, you can. There's a link below. It says support the podcast for 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, or $9.99 a month. I'm also on YouTube as well, as opposed to just all the major, podcasting platforms. I am on YouTube as well. So come check me out on YouTube, From the Stache. That's From the Stache with Stache. Subscribe and come check out the podcast. And thanks for rocking with me, and much love, y'all.